Alex Hughes, co-founder of Totem, virtual and hybrid events, and he is going to talk to you about Hana, your future event delegate. So over to you, Alex.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. So, as introduced, my name is Alex Hughes. I'm the co-founder of Totem virtual and hybrid events. But who are we and what are we? So Totem is a self-serve virtual and hybrid event platform that enables the creation of branded events of pretty much any size, from a 10-person meeting to a 10,000 attendee event. It allows you to build, run and monitor events using real-time control. It's basically the difference between us and a lot of the people here today is that actually we're built by event people for event people with data at its core and using proprietary AI technology, tagging and the like. The platform allows you to basically orchestrate your events, delivering live data analytics that provide really unique event insights. And by the mobile app and desktop platform, attendees can view these presentation sessions, visit exhibitor showcases, as well as attend collaborative workshops and roundtables. But how we consume events has changed forever. Events that take place over a number of days are basically a thing of the past. We all deserve events that are accessible from anywhere at any time. And in this session, what I'm going to do is explore how we'll be consuming the events of the future and the technology required to enable this. But first, what I'd like to do is introduce you to Hana. Hana is your future delegate. Let's see what she's been up to.
The last year has been pretty tough on live events, but now they're back, and in a way that's more flexible than ever before. With Totem, I can take the event with me wherever I go.
Totem makes it easy to connect with other attendees, whether they're in person or remote. You can even use Room Radar to see who's there. Ah, look, Hana's here.
So whether you're in the office, on the go, or in person, Totem keeps you in the loop. Hey, Khalid.
Hey, Hana. Where are you?
I'm here.
So that was Hana, but how do we give Hana the event she deserves? How can we ensure Hana has all of the tools available to her, everything you can see up there, wherever she is, whatever she's doing, and however she wants to access her event? How can virtual and hybrid event technology enable this? So to answer the above, what I'm going to do is just examine what the future of events might look like. So from our perspective, obviously the pandemic meant events turned virtual a lot sooner than expected. As we learn to live with COVID, we're all looking to find that perfect blend, that perfect hybrid experience. But what is hybrid? Well, for us at Totem, it's basically about event conception. And when we talk about hybrid as an event, it's an event that's conceived for an in-person and a remote audience at the same time, where all points of content and networking are considered to be blended. So for Hana, a blended experience, a blended event means a blended experience of her event. And it means that that event must be accessible on her mobile, on her desktop, in person or remotely. So access to her event wherever she happens to be, however she wants to engage with that event at whatever time suits her. And for us at Totem, a blended event is actually about extending the event footprint of that experience and delivering much more of a long tail, so before, during and after a time, date centered event. So access to that experience, that event experience across her day part, whether she's at home, on the journey to work, going to the event itself, going back home, back at home. So how do you do that? So how do you give Hana the access to an event at all of those touch points? How can Hana take that event experience with her? So we all know physical events. We all know how they work, or how they used to work, sessions, networking, socials. So some of these are easy to do at a virtual event. Watching live streams we're all comfortable with, that kind of thing. But some of these are much more challenging to do at a virtual event, let alone hybrid. So at Totem, what we've been doing is spending the last 2 years trying to work out what that experience is. So reimagining how the physical becomes the virtual, and how that becomes hybrid, and how that becomes a hybrid and blended, what we call a multi-channel experience. So blended events are obviously the way forward, but what are the challenges we all face in creating and delivering them? So let's examine the event access experience from Hannah's point of view. You saw in that video. Her journey, it could be anything. It could be laptop, mobile at home, mobile on the train, in an Uber, on the tube. It could then be on the laptop at work, laptop at an event, mobile at an event, mobile back to work, and laptop back to work, mobile on the train, and you get the idea. So basically multiple variations of the entire journey is basically her experience of an event. But how do we deliver the best event experience using event technology at each of those touch points? So how do we do this? So what I'm going to do is give you some example of what we at Totem do. So we've got things called Helix and My Event, we've got networking and chat, we've got the ability to control your sessions via an event remote, we've got on demand, we've got exhibitors and event collateral. And I'm going to take you through a few of these now. So Helix is our content and networking preferencing. I don't say AI because everyone says AI. It's not that, it's preferencing and tagging that identifies delegate preferences. So set up on entry of the virtual event itself, it analyzes and splits your preferences and interests down using two types of tagging, content and networking. Content tags are pretty much what you want to watch, what you want to read, what you want to download, and it covers sessions, videos, articles, and exhibitor preferences. Networking tabs is much more about you and who you are and who you want to meet. And we've got this thing called the My Event functionality, which allows you to customize your entire event, make it relevant to you and your basically your interests. And so you're personalizing your agenda, who you want to see, what, where, and when. It also allows you to manage your meetings, your contact requests. And obviously at the back end of the CMS, you can set specific keywords and tags that power Helix. And obviously what we're trying to do for Hannah is give her a tailored, customized, and relevant event experience. So for Hannah, one of the most important parts of attending an event is obviously networking. Enabling a seamless, friction-free way to discover and network with other attendees is fundamental to her engagement at that event. So delivering sessions that are obviously pertinent to her interests and ensure her easy access to a tailored event for her will absolutely contribute to a relevant event experience for her. And that's what we're all kind of aiming for. So networking and chat. So how do you create and encourage networking at a virtual and hybrid event? So we've done quite a few hybrid events to date around the world. And the general feeling is that networking doesn't really work well online as it does in person. So it's down to the curation of opportunities. And the current thinking is we should create obviously networking breaks, but actually that doesn't actually create networking opportunity. At a physical event, networking occurs naturally in a room. I go from here to the coffee place and I discuss the session I've just seen. During a forced networking break at a virtual event, people go and make coffee or they go to the loo. So what we have to do is curate and orchestrate those experiences to work really much harder to make them feel as good as in person. Now what we've done is identified what works and basically that is to keep networking as part of the agenda. And the aim is to construct the agenda to allow the virtual audience to basically stay present within the confines of the event itself. So keeping networking as agenda items and curating them specifically around content. So giving attendees access to speakers as well in virtual networking rooms on their own hosted speaker tables immediately after the session has ended. So also the ability to search, view, connect with, request a meeting with attendees, all accessible via the Apple platform is really where Hannah wants to be. So for Hannah, the ability to set up those meetings, and it doesn't matter what device she uses, as well as choose how you want to meet, physical, virtual, or a combination of both, it's the blended experience which is the key. And it's the blended experience is really down to the organizers to how much they push it. So engaging in networking for Hannah, again, it's really about that seamless and friction-free way as possible to engage with and connect with people both at the physical and virtual event. Now we think that dynamic chat is obviously the future. It's the key. It's obviously a function within the app, but it's more than that. It's a rich experience which gives you the ability to add contacts, liaise directly with contacts, set up meetings, notifications, and things like prompts. Enhanced rich chat is absolutely the future. Everyone understands chat, WhatsApp, Signal, SMS, but enhancing the functionality will lead to a much better networking engagement. And the good thing about chat is it's ubiquitous and it doesn't force people straight into a video call. So it's a first step to making that video call much, much easier. So chat, it's agile, fluid, friction-free, leads to meetings and ultimately that face-to-face meetings. But what we have to accept is that the pinnacle of networking is face-to-face meetings. And broadly, some things in the virtual world work much better than others. A drinks reception, a coffee chat is much better face-to-face, but that doesn't mean to say we can't create values and the value in offering virtual and hybrid networking. So for Hana, how can she engage, control her sessions? That's really fundamental. And what we've got in Totem is something called the Event Controller, which delivers information and session collateral. You can check an event, you can check into it, you have access to a number of key features around that session. There's polling, which you can take part in the session poll during the session. You can see the results instantly in the app and in the session. You can set that up in the back end, or you can do it on the fly live in the session itself. Q&A is also available via the app whilst watching the session at the physical event as well as online. And then obviously, as I said, chat, in-session chat with attendees is fundamental, as well as submitting Q&As to the speaker via the app as well. There's also Rate the Session, which is obviously great for speaker feedback. But what we're trying to do here is to create a sense of belonging to a community of people watching a session. And why we're doing this is because you have to consider the people in the environment, and you look to create less a feeling of being alone behind a glass laptop screen, less a voyeur, if you like, and much more participant. Otherwise, people are much less likely to engage. So for Hana, it means that no matter where she is, what she's doing, or how she's doing it, she can engage with that session, she can watch and interact with it. Now, Room Radar is a cool functionality. It's a great functionality. Now, stuff naturally happens at events. Naturally, it's serendipitous. So how can we actually replicate this? How does this translate to a blended event? So at a physical event, in a session, you might scan the room. We might be scanning the room now, check out who's here, see if I know anyone. So we thought about that, and we thought, how can we recreate the activity to help with networking specifically? So what Room Radar does, it allows basically the physical attendee via our app and the virtual attendee online to instantly discover and show you who else is in the room in that session with you, watching. And for Hana, it gives you the ability to search and connect with other like-minded attendees in the session, both existing or new connections. So clicking that rescan room button activates Room Radar and allows you to view in-session attendee profiles, chat with them directly, connect with them, find a bit about them, and all do that all instantly. And so because you're sharing the same interest in that session, the networking engagement rate we've found has been very, very high. So Room Radar, essentially for Hana, lets her engage much more easily, much faster with people that are relevant to her. And that's really, really fundamental. So we also have a number of techniques to guide people around the event itself as well. So we've got two, and one of them is called, you can see down here, it's called Voice of God. That's an event broadcast message that's seen by everyone or different classes of the event. And the broadcast message across the event, they're done at key moments. They're pretty much 2 minutes before a session is about to end. They might be guiding to networking with the speaker or directing people to an exhibitor stand, that kind of thing. But they're broadcast event-wide. They're telling attendees when and where something is happening, as well as providing basically a link to that place, another session or a networking table or an expo stand. So that's really, really, really quite a cool functionality. We've also got something called teleport, literally teleport. It's physically hard to move large swathes of people around at a physical event. So once a session has ended, if you want to get 300 or 400 people moving around an event, it's difficult. In a virtual event, the ability to move the right people to the right place or the right session or the right networking table is a really powerful proposition. And with teleport, you can do that instantly. So as well as targeting specific user classes, you can move everyone instantly. You can move them to the areas within the virtual event that's most relevant for them. Now, the difference between teleport and broadcast is basically what teleport is known as push technology, and broadcast is pull technology. So that's the different ways of moving people around the event. And for Hana, the key thing for her, again, coming back to her, teleport means that she can allow herself to be part of a session or a networking break that is directly relevant to what she's interested in. So meetings. Why only meet in person? So the ability to set up physical meetings on the app pre-event is obviously particularly useful and time-saving. So Hana can set up a physical meeting with any other attendee on her way to the event via her mobile app, or she can set up physical meetings pre-event or a week before the event has even started. Then if she's at the event, she can set up a virtual meeting with someone who's at home who's online attending the virtual event. Now this is the definition of pure blended. For exhibitors, a unique presence and an ease of access to exhibitors across the event, be it hybrid or virtual, it's a fundamental requirement for obviously exhibitors and attendees alike. So for them, having a CMS back-end and front-end that allows them to edit content, upload media, assign salespeople directly from within their platform as an exhibitor, that benefits both them and obviously the event organizer. So for Hana, keep going back to Hana, obviously, it means that she can access information, she can arrange meetings, she can network with people directly on the stand, either via her app, as you're seeing here, or online. She can also add expo collateral directly to a delegate bag in one click for viewing or downloading later. Finally, on demand. So on demand, the ability to have that content that's presented live for Hana to view when she wants, where she wants, and how she wants to view it is useful, obviously, for revisiting and reviewing that content for her at her leisure. But it's the speed of which content is delivered post-live and the speed of that availability to attendees, that's what's fundamental to continued engagement above and beyond the event day itself. So how do we do all this? Well, this is the back-end slide. So this is the back-end montage of what it looks like. So from an event and tech and organizer's perspective, everything that I just showed you at the front end and talked about is incredibly easy to set up and build in the Totem CMS. It's fully customizable. It allows a variety of different sized events to be created, from 10-person meetings to 100-person webinars to 10,000 attendee conferences with expos, all with the ability to toggle the main navigation within the actual virtual event platform on and off depending on the stage of the event cycle you're at, which also helps drive the scale of the event you're trying to produce. So at each event, we can creatively express and manage that differently using the same simple CMS. So what this means is that every event expression, every event looks and feels different and is unique for fit for that purpose of that event. Most importantly, this is also underpinned by comprehensive data analytics and event insights available to both event organizers and specs. So what does all that functionality and what does all that event technology actually mean for an event organizer? What does all this back-end and front-end event technology enable them to do? Well, it gives them tools to do what I think is two things. It gives them tools to curate and to orchestrate. So for the curation side of things, they're looking to create events that are easy to set up and manage, fully in control of the setup of any event, size small, medium, or large. It allows them to curate events that are fully customizable. Functionality, features can be adjusted and refined specifically for the event. Importing lists of attendees and all kinds of event assets, collateral to build, populate the event is really easy. Adding multiple types of media assets, either uploaded or via the integrated library we have in the platform, is straightforward. Addition of monitoring of banner ads, integrated streaming, ability to set up polling, broadcasting, teleports, all of that is really, really fundamental. So the basics stands of the exhibitors as well. So all of this can be curated whilst being onboarded and trained and supported by the Totem team. From an orchestration perspective, this is where it really gets interesting. Because the aim is to deliver here to your attendees, wherever they are and however they're accessing the event, the best event experience possible. So how do you achieve this? You achieve this by orchestrating that event. So what we do is give event organizers the ability to orchestrate that event, but more importantly, your attendees to move them around to where they should be or where they need to be via things like broadcasting and teleporting. So you engage them with the specs, you broadcast, you move them around, you engage them with the sponsors, you and your exhibitors, and what that does is give the organizers the ability to be the conductor of the entire event experience for each attendee, and that's really, really powerful. So how do you do this? Well, that's all driven by detailed event metrics, live data analysis, via live heartbeat. That also measures event engagement and delivers valuable insight instantly. So data. Data is key. So the one thing that COVID has given us is the measurability of our activity online more than ever before, especially at an event. We monitor at Totem and we measure hundreds of data points across each event, both virtual and hybrid. And we have two forms of data that we gather, hard and soft data. We call them hard and soft. Now, hard is everything online and soft is in person at the physical event. Hard data for the virtual event, we track and measure online attendee activity across the platform over time. And we have the ability to measure literally every single point of activity in the virtual environment. Now what this has given is it's really given an appetite to event organizers to understand not only what delegates are doing, but also to deliver against and validate to specs what the engagement is they're seeing from the attendees, be that contact, networking, stand visits, dwell times, that kind of thing. Soft data is essentially based around QR codes, and it's about the activity around the event itself. So that appetite for data which we've seen online has led to a massive requirement to extend this data capture at a hybrid event. And a lot of data capture is happening right now, here and now. So the way we do it is we either scan attendee QR codes with their badges, receive their contact details. You can scan QR codes at an expo booth, downloading content from the exhibitors. You can view virtual stands online and download their collateral scanning on site, which is great from a sustainability perspective as well. So we use QR codes to leverage sustainability initiatives. We are at a key moment of obviously global change with COP26 happening, and now everything's focused on sustainability and ESG. But how do you actually get people to adopt environmental impact reducing initiatives whilst at an event? An event is essentially a bad thing to be at if you're lots of people gathering at an event. So the way we do it is by gamification, and that's a good way to get people to engage. So one example we've done is, you can just see it here, it's called Impact, and that's on the Totem-powered Informa Connect Me virtual event platform that Informa use. They've got a Million Mangroves project, and that's a great example of where attendees can go around an event, scan QR codes dotted around the event to gather points, which are then displayed on a leaderboard. You can see it within the app, which directly equates to the planting of mangroves in the Philippines. So, data. So, just to summarize, what we're doing for blended events is to give every opportunity at a physical event to make data as valuable and as comparable to virtual events. The success of blended event is about empowering our physical event organizers to accumulate, digest, and analyze that data. And that's where the value really, really lies. Yes, we have tons of data. We have layers of data upon data upon data. But at the heart of Totem is the ability to make sense of it all and enable a client to really weaponize that data to deliver insights and analysis that can really inform their next event. That's what it's all about. Now, one of the key purposes of data analysis is obviously to lead to more insightful event knowledge to ensure a friction-free, fluid event experience for the likes of Hana, as well as sponsors and exhibitors. But ultimately, the event organizer has the ability to use this live event info in real time on the Totem platform to gather data insights to basically ensure that Hana returns next year, which is obviously the most important thing for absolutely everyone. But the single most important thing about the data we collect is that it's yours to do with whatever you want to. So we are passionate about your events, but they are your events. So with Totem, we are fully open to being white labeled. You can brand your platform any way you like. I mentioned the Connect Me Informa platform, the Connect Me platform that Informa use. This is the Totem platform branded as Connect Me by Informa. So a fully white labeled offering with no mention of Totem at all. So like I said, you can use the brand, you can use and brand our platform in any way you wish. So before we end, finally, I just really want to touch on 365 events and community. There's a couple of people talking about 365s here. There is now no reason to have an event that runs across a certain date. An event can start virtual, be in person, and finish virtually. So why not join these together in a year-round access? Why not let the physical element be the pinnacle of that 365 event? I think this is where we're heading, and maybe this might eventually lead to the option of obviously a commercial subscription-based model for clients, but that's another presentation, I think. From community perspective, this is about, I think what we're going to see is about creating a community of like-minded people. One of the things I get frustrated about LinkedIn all the time is that it's trying to be a community, but it's effectively an echo chamber. What community means to us at Totem is a series of events around topics. And these topics have reasons for discussion and themes and are not tied down to dates. The only reason events previously were on a specific day is that everyone had to be together. So what are the options and possibilities open to event organizers and us as event tech developers if people don't have to be together all of the time? Could we refocus the effort of creating an event at a single point in time and instead spread that effort out to create event longevity, to create this kind of long tail and create communities centered around content all year round? Hannah's event experience doesn't have to begin and end with an event. So, back to Hannah, your future delegate. What does she want from an event? She wants a friction-free, fluid event experience that allows her to access her event whenever she wants, however she wants, and when she wants, and wherever she wants. Network seamlessly with like-minded people across all her devices. She wants to be part of interesting and engaging presentations and sessions that are relevant to her whenever she likes. She wants to quickly connect, chat, and engage with her peers, colleagues, and speakers alike. She wants to collect all kinds of event collateral accessible via a single click. And she's acutely aware of climate change. She wants to have less of an impact if she attends an event in person. She wants to be part of a tailored event that speaks to her needs, requirements, and interests from both a content and a networking perspective. And if she decides to, she wants to carry that event around in her pocket, access it virtually on her laptop, as well as attend that event in person. And being heavily invested in her work-life balance, all of the above must work in harmony for her to want to return to that event next time, which is ultimately something we all want to happen. So let's see what Hannah's been up to since we met her at the start of this session.
Well, that was an incredible day. That was an incredible day. And with Totem, there's still more to go.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I think, there we go, I am on. Great session, thank you, Alex. There's been a few questions that have come on that I think are really interesting, and one about how do you ensure hybrid events are engaging for both virtual and in-person viewers. You sort of talked about, you know, some of the pings and how you can push people in certain places. How do you make it truly engaging for both online and in person?
So I can't really hear the question. Sorry.
How do you make sure that the events are engaging for both virtual and in person?
Okay, so I mean, the key thing about engagement is about obviously being able to track your attendees as they move around the event. But what's important is to keep the momentum going, keep the fluidity of the event going, and to ensure that actually there is this blended experience of both. So be it exhibitors or networking areas where people are pushed to or pulled to. It's primarily about the content, but surrounding the content with networking opportunities which are related directly to that content. People don't want to go and just have a coffee for the sake of having a coffee if you're in a virtual event. In a hybrid event, it's again about the networking and the engagement of the network and to be able to deliver experiences which are valuable to the attendees and sponsors and exhibitors, basically.
And that maybe leads on to the next question. So how do I make sure my sponsors are getting their key message across to delegates throughout the event? Because obviously you can sort of put banners up and you can put names in places, but how do you sort of give them a little bit more?
Yeah, I think there's a number of ways to do that. Obviously, using our platform, we have various areas within the platform which are allowed to be sponsored. But I think it's much more about actually creating content around sponsorship messages rather than just plastering your brand everywhere. I think what's key is if you've got an exhibition session, if you've got an exhibition, an expo stand on a virtual event, what's fundamental is that not only that it's manned, but also that it's it's as engaging as possible. So you're not just selling things, but you're contributing from a content perspective with relevant and engaging content around the actual topics of the event itself. And it's the same in the physical world as it is in the virtual world when it comes to actually ensuring sponsors get their messages across. If your sponsors and your salespeople and your reps on the actual exhibiting stand are just going to sit there and not chat and not go to networking tables and not host sessions and not do demos, they're just going to sit there and wait for someone to click on them, they're not going to click on them. It's the same as if you're standing behind your stand with your arms folded, no one's going to come to you. So you have to be approachable, you have to be relevant, you have to be about the actual event itself, and you have to really take the first step forward and drive the initiative.
You're absolutely right. It's the same for the basic, I guess, rules of exhibiting 101, right? Even before all of the virtual or anything digital, 100%. It's like you've got to be proactive too. But there was an interesting question that came through online, and this is about your teleporting. I was looking forward to being literally teleported somewhere else.
Yeah. It's quite a scary experience when it happens to you.
Does it go bit by bit? No, okay. So you mentioned about it not being AI and that it's tagging and preferencing. But how does the platform learn? So let's say I go there to learn about water bottles, but actually I've used this analogy a million times, but I attend sessions about, say, coffee cups. How do you teleport me into, say, more coffee cup related?
So the teleporting function really, I mean, that's a really interesting question about the learning side of things, and that is the technology, the AI technology and the machine learning, which we are working on right now. But I think for to be able to understand more about your attendee and what they're doing, it's all about the data. So it's all about where they're doing, and this goes back to what I talk about orchestrating as an event organizer, the ability to go into the back end of the platform during an event, live at an event, and look at who's attending what session in real time, how long they're spending there, what they're doing there, whether they're downloading content, whether they're using Room Radar, whether they're chatting. It's being able to monitor that in the same way as a producer in a live TV gallery can look at what's going on live and react to it. A virtual event organizer needs to step into that role of being able to actually orchestrate that. So if I'm looking for activity around my event, I will be going into my dashboard and saying, right, okay, how is this session doing? Who's in this session? What are they doing? Are they actively engaging? Are they speaking? Do I need to pepper that session with preloaded questions? Do I need to put some other people's hands up? Can I move certain people from a session to another session without them feeling like they've been pushed into something which is not relevant for them? It's a real skill, and I think it's going to become a skill that event organisers are going to need to take on board to be able to get the most out of virtual and hybrid events, basically.
I was just going to ask about that, because you say it is a specific skill. So, learning 100%. This orchestration of people and movement and things. Yeah. But so then when it comes to your analytics, is it sort of making recommendations for them? No one's asking questions here. Plug some questions in. Does it?
So it's the recommendation. I mean, there's a couple of things we can do. So we either deliver all of that data, all of the actual raw data direct to our clients, who then have their own data analysts and teams of people working on it. In the case of Informa, that's what they do. But what we can do on our dashboard very instantly, very quickly, is, as I showed you in one of the slides before, is show you graphically the levels of engagement and the dwell times and the amount of people who've talked or met or connected or chatted and things like that. So very quickly we're able to give even for your smallest event a snapshot of the kind of the cadence of that event from a data analysis perspective, which will deliver insights instantly to be able to change things if things aren't going well, or post the event to be able to improve upon that moving forward.
Okay, great. I believe you answered this question a little bit in your session, but as an event organizer, it's the big topic for discussion everywhere. Who controls the data?
You do. So absolutely. So so the question is, who controls the data? So the platform is basically your platform as the client, as the event organizer. So you control that data in terms of what you're doing with it. Control's kind of like the wrong word, really. No one really controls it. It's more of a question of what are you doing with the data, how you're using that data, what data can be supplied to be insightful. But the most important thing is, it's your data. It's not our data. It's absolutely owned by you to do whatever you want. We often use the analogy of a romantic restaurant. So if a couple are in my restaurant having a romantic dinner, I don't have the right to go down there and sit next to them and engage in their romantic dinner. they own that romanticness. And it's the same kind of deal. You know, I will provide you with the restaurant. How you conduct yourself at your romantic dinner is yours, and knock yourself out.
I think that's a brilliant analogy, and I won't interrupt your romantic dinner later at the awards.
Getting a bit doe-eyed now.
Okay, so there's a question of how do I personalize an event to my needs on the platform?
Okay, so I mean that's a really interesting question. The thing to think about the Totem platform is it's like a skeleton. You can dress it exactly how you want. So even though there are specific layouts available and there's kind of specific kind of zones, if you like, areas, you can pretty much customize everything on the platform how you want. You can customize the main navigation, you can customize the layout to a certain extent, you can customize how many elements of the platform are toggled on or off. You can personalize it from a creative perspective, from a color palette perspective, from a content perspective, from a timings perspective. You can have 10 tracks, 20 tracks, multiple concurrent events all running through the platform as well. And you can scale the event from, like I said, 10, 100 people webinars well up to 10,000 person expo events. So the personalization is really down to you, and what we can help with is that. We can help you manage that, we can help curate it with you, or you can go ahead and do it yourself. We've got clients who literally just have the platform like Informa, and they've got about 25, 30 people who build events on it, and every event looks and feels different. That's what's great about it.
Yeah, it's crucial to have that kind of differentiator, isn't it? Okay, last question of how long can we keep content on demand for? Can it be live? Can it be available indefinitely? But I guess can the visitor over the user, can the visitor access that year round?
Yeah, I mean this question goes back to my comment about 365 events. I mean, I think we're moving towards that kind of model where, you know, you subscribe to it's like Netflix essentially. So from a content on demand perspective, that's up to the event organizer. So you can keep it open as long as you like. You know, we recommend probably 30 days before, you know, you don't want people back and forth onto a dead event. That's the thing is the question needs to really be, what are you trying to achieve by having the on-demand content available for? Is it so people can mop it up if they haven't seen it live? Yes. But also, by the same token, 30 days after the event, you don't want them going back to the platform to see on-demand content when you've got a bit of a skeleton event. It's a bit like going to Alton Towers when half the rides are shut. You know, it's not a great experience. So you need to really consider why you're giving that on-demand content. But I think the future is much more about how we digest content on a 365, 24/7 basis.
Yeah, 100%. And Alex, are you exhibiting here? Do you have a stand if people want to come find you?
And I've only just arrived, so Sam knows the number there. So we're around the corner,
3105, which is through that hall. If you're here in person,
I should really know my stand number.
But you'll also be able to find you online. So Alex Hughes, co-founder at Totem Virtual and Hybrid Events. Thank you very much for the session.
Thank you very much. Thank you.